Hello everyone. In previous lecture we have discussed about MPEG 1 video coding standard, and in this lecture we will discuss about MPEG 2 video coding standard. So these are few of the characteristics of MPEG 2. Now unlike MPEG 1, which is basically a standard for storing and playing video on the CD of a single computer at a low bitrate of approximately 1.5 Mbps, MPEG 2 is for higher video quality at a bitrate of more than 4 Mbps. It is also used as a standard for digital broadcast TV. If you remember, MPEG 1 supports only non-interlaced or progressive videos. But since MPEG 2 is adopted for digital broadcast TV, it also supports interlaced video. Because if you remember, we have discussed when we were discussing about progressive and interlaced sampling that progressive sampled videos are generally used for very cinematic and very high quality videos, while interlaced sampling is generally used in broadcasting. So this is so since it supports digital broadcast TV, so it also supports interlaced videos. Now it has also been adapted for interactive TV and not digital versatile disc like DVDs, and it is also backward compatible with MPEG 1. And since MPEG 1 supports only 4:2:0 chroma subsampling, MPEG 2 also supports 4:2:0 chroma subsampling. Besides this, it also supports 4:2:2 and 4:4:4 chroma subsampling, which is generally used for very high and ultra high definition videos or TV. Now these are the if we talk about pictures, since it supports interlaced video, it has frame pictures and field pictures. So these pictures can be categorized into two groups, frame picture and field picture. Now as mentioned earlier, in interlaced video, each frame consists of two fields referred to as top field and the bottom field. In the frame picture, all scan lines from both the fields are interleaved to form a single frame. So this frame picture is nothing but it's a general image frame which we look at. On the other hand, if each field is treated as separate picture, then it is called as field picture. So this diagram will make it more clear. So here each frame picture can be split into two field pictures. This figure shows 16 scan lines from a frame picture. Here it has 16 scan lines as opposed to 8 scan lines in each of the two top field and bottom field. And when these two top field and bottom field are interleaved, this results into frame, and these are fields. Now in terms of display area of monitor, each 16 by 16 macro block in the field picture corresponds to since if it is 8 scan lines in a single field, scan lines are doubled in frame. So if there are 16, if the size of macro block is 16 by 16 pixels in a single field, the size in the size of the macro block in the frame will be 16 by 32, where 16 is number of columns and 32 number of rows. And similarly, if a frame has 16 cross 16 pixels sized macro block, its size in a single field will be, number of columns will remain same but number of rows will be half. So this will be the corresponding size of macro block in the field. Now frame pictures are generally preferred for relatively still images, and field pictures give better results in presence of significant motion, because we can actually have twice the number of fields as compared to frames. So the motion is very smooth, and it is also possible to switch between frame picture and field picture on a frame by frame basis. And as we have seen in MPEG 1, each picture can be categorized as I type, P type and B type. So similarly, here we have frame and fields, both can also be categorized as I type, P type and B type. I is intra-coded, where we only exploit the spatial redundancy. P, when it is predicted from the previous frame, and B, bidirectional, when the current frame is predicted from both the previous and the future frames or fields. Now prediction, when we were considering only frames, this prediction was comparatively understandable, but here we also have this frame can be divided into two top and bottom fields. So how to do the prediction in these cases? So MPEG 2 defined different prediction modes suitable for a wide range of applications. So let's discuss these prediction modes one by one. So this is the first mode. When we are predicting a frame, predicting from a frame for a frame, means this target is also a frame and reference is also a frame. So if it is, we are considering only previous frame, it is pre-frame. If we are considering both previous and the next frame or future frame, it is called as B frame. So it is same as MPEG 1. We use motion compensation based prediction methods for obtaining both pre-frame and B frames. The next mode is field prediction for field pictures. Like the current frame is, suppose this is the current frame. So current frame is also fields, and previously we also had field pictures. So this mode uses a macro block of size 16 cross 16 from field pictures, as we have done in case of frames. For I frame, it's just the intra coded, so we will only exploit the spatial redundancy. For P field pictures, prediction are made from most recently from the two most recently encoded fields. So suppose these are the most recently encoded fields, I, or it could be I frame, I picture, I field, or it could be P field. So macro block in the top field picture are forward predicted from the top field or the bottom field of the preceding I or P frame. P field. Now the macro block in the bottom field picture are predicted, they can either be predicted from the top field picture of the same frame or the bottom field picture of the preceding I or P frame. Okay, and this was for P field picture. For B field, we need both the previous and future frames or fields. So we do both forward and backward predictions from, so this top field can be predicted from previous top or bottom, and bottom field can also be predicted from previous top or bottom. Similarly for the future frames as well. So here we can say that there is no regulation required for field parity. That is, the top and bottom pictures can be predicted from either the top or the bottom field of the reference pictures. It is not like that the top field should be predicted from the top field of the reference picture. It can be predicted from the bottom field of the reference picture as well. So no regulation required for field parity. No regulation for field parity. The next mode of prediction is field prediction for frame pictures. So we have a frame here and we have to predict different fields for this frame. So in this mode, the top field and bottom fields are treated as separate, are treated separately. Okay, so this is top field of a frame and this is bottom field of the frame, and both are treated separately. Now now in accordance with that, if we have a 16 cross 16 macro block from the target frame picture, it is split into, this is 16 by 16, I mean 16 column and 16 rows. So this 16 by 16 macro block from the target frame picture is split into 16 by 8 to 16 by 8 parts, each coming from one field. Now besides this smaller size of macro block. The only difference is that the bottom field will not be predicted from the top field of the same frame. So this loop will not be here. So if we consider this example, for P frame picture, the bottom 16 cross 16 by 8 part will be predicted from either fields of I or P frames. So since we have two macro blocks of size 16 by 8, so two motion vectors will be generated. And in case of this B frame picture, 4 motion vectors will be generated, because each frame will be 16 by 16. It will be divided into two 16 by 8 macro blocks. I will give two motion vector for this from previous frame and two motion vectors from the future frame. So for B type picture, I will have total of 4 motion vectors. Now another mode for field and frame prediction is dual prime for P pictures. This is the only mode that can be used for either frame pictures or field pictures. At first, field prediction for each previous field with the same parity is made. Same parity means top field will be predicted from the top field of the previous frame, and bottom field will be predicted from bottom field of the previous frame. Each motion vector is then used to derive a calculated motion vector CV. In the field with opposite parity. So this, suppose this motion vector was obtained by using the previous fields with same parity. After this we will compute, so each motion vector is now used to calculate motion vector in the field with opposite parity. And this will take into account the temporal scaling and vertical shift between lines, because these are alternate, no? So it will take into account the temporal scaling and the vertical shift between the lines in the top and bottom fields. In this way, the pair of motion vector and computed motion vector CV yields to preliminary predictions for each macro block. Now this mode, their prediction errors are averaged and used as the final prediction error. And this mode is basically aimed at mimicking P picture prediction for B picture prediction for P pictures without adopting backward prediction, and hence less delay in the encoding. Now, since MPEG 2 is designed for a variety of applications, including digital TV, high definition TV, the video will be transmitted over networks with different bandwidth. Therefore, it is necessary to have a single coded bit stream that is scalable to various bit rates according to the network characteristics on which these bit rates will be on which this bit stream will be transmitted. So there is a support for scalable coding, which is also known as layered coding, in which we have two layers, a base layer and one or more enhancement layers. The base layer can be independently encoded, transmitted and decoded to obtain basic video quality. Now, the encoding and decoding of enhancement layer depends on the base layer with base layer or the previous enhancement layer. When only one enhancement layer is employed, it is also called as two-layer scalable coding. Now, this scalable coding is suitable for MPEG 2 video transmitted over networks with following characteristics. So, suppose networks have very different bit rates. If the link speed is slow, only the bit stream from the base layer will be sent, because it can be coded independently and it will give us the basic video quality. So if the link speed is low, only the bit stream from the base layer will be sent, and if the link speed is sufficiently decent, then bit stream from one or more layers will also be sent to achieve improved video quality. The second characteristic of the network is with variable bitrate channels. So when the bitrate of the channel deteriorates, bit streams from fewer or no enhancement layers will be transmitted. And if the bitrate of channel is good, then we can transmit bit streams from one or more enhancement layers. Similarly, in case of noisy connections, the base layer can be better protected or sent via channels which are less noisy, and in other cases we can transfer enhancement means on comparatively more noisy channels. If available, we can transmit bit stream on enhancement layers. Now for this scalability support, MPEG 2 has following scalable coding schemes. So the first is SNR scalability, which is signal noise ratio. Here in base layer, DCT coefficient are coarsely quantized, which results in fewer number of bits and therefore relatively lower quality video. while in enhancement layer improved DCT coefficients are there, so it results in improved video quality. In spatial scalability, the base layer is designed to generate bit stream of reduced resolution pictures, like the resolution of each picture of the video will be of lower resolution in base layer, and when combined with enhanced layer, picture at original resolution are produced, which results in better quality video. The third is temporal scalability. Here the input video is temporally demultiplexed into two pieces, each carrying half of the original frame rate. So suppose this is my video, it is demultiplexed into two videos with half of the original frame rate. So suppose this is 30 frames per second, so it will be 15 frames per second, it will also be 15 frames per second. The base layer encoder will carry a video with half of the frame rate, so this will be the base layer, while the enhancement layer combine two halves and carries video with original frame rate, thus have better video quality. The third scalability is hybrid, which combines any of the three mentioned scalabilities, like SNR with spatial, or spatial temporal, or temporal SNR. The fourth one is data partitioning. Here the compressed video stream is divided into two partitions. The base partition contains lower frequency DCT coefficients, and the enhancement partition contains higher frequency DCT coefficients. So strictly speaking, if we say this data partitioning does not come under the concept of layered encoding, since here the enhancement partition does not depend on the base partition. They too carry their signals and video streams independently. So this does not come under layered coding, but yeah, it is one of the schemes for scalability, providing scalability for MPEG-2 video standards. So this is all about MPEG-2 video coding standards, and in the next class we will discuss about MPEG-4.